Okay, so welcome to a studio that's a little bit messy. This is the bedroom we're borrowing from my mother. Yeah. So I think let's ask questions carefully now. Huh? Like this? Is this okay? Okay.
Yeah, this.
Yeah, I was wishing it automatically turns. Okay, this should be fine. So there are many questions that come up. For me, one of the central questions would be, what is play and what is work? Okay, maybe this could be even played with a playlist later on. This is okay? Okay. And it's okay though, YouTube won't automatically do it. It's okay, love. Italy said this is okay because it automatically shifts. Okay. Oh, nice. Maybe you can use Google Translate if you don't understand the words. There are many things in the work of the facilitator that are random, and there are things that are constant. Random means, let's say, what are the tools or what are the languages that a facilitator has? Obviously, you use a lot of music in the inner dance process. The way you touch people is very important. The words somehow mean something, and there are a lot of images that also come up, and many colors. When you look at music, there could also be the things that don't sound like music. It almost feels like there are infinite elements that you can play with. And you're like a kid, you're like a child. You cannot plan things so much because you don't know what will come during the process, and a lot of the time you have to come from the heart. Now, this is a very, very important question then, that I want to reflect on with you. And what I share doesn't have to be absolutely true. Maybe you can see some things here later that can add to my own understanding. The question is, what is it that is constant? So that even if you keep playing, whatever type of music you use, whatever way you touch someone's body, whatever words you use, there will be so many images. You will get tired of listening to so many dreams and so many images, and people will keep talking about the colors. In fact, we held an inner dance yesterday, and people were talking about seeing colors that they have not seen before. No matter how different and how many these are, there's something in the inner dance that always stays the same. There's always something that stays the same. So if you become part of this work, this is something that you will notice maybe in 1 year or 2 years or 3 years. And for me, that shows up mostly here. Okay. Now, when we mention music and sound, what we are actually talking about is, there's no more space in that other page. Vibration. It's a very big term because it stands for people usually call it as energy. There's so much energy. The energy is low, the energy is high, the energy is hot, the energy is cold. But at the end of the day, the constant is a vibration. And what I want to offer to you is the wave or the vibration has a particular shape. in the inner dance process. Now you might call it the inner dance. There's an inner dance wave, but later we will realize the inner dance works because it's not just the general inner dance vibration. It's actually the vibration of the earth and humans. Now let's put humans because it's too masculine when you say man. There's a relationship between earth and humans that begin to connect within the inner dance process that is activated when we go into the field. So let me give you a little bit of history so that you know what I'm speaking about. Let me put my camera back on because I don't want to draw some of this. In the beginning, I did not use music. I used to use my presence. I would come into people's energy field and then their bodies would move. Some people would just collapse and they would go somewhere and they couldn't explain it. Sometimes I would touch people's bodies. I would touch them in the head, like in the back, like here, and something would open. And then my mother gave me the most important gift ever. It was my first iPod, which had so much music in it. And intuitively, I felt this is important. This will help me to speak the language of vibration. You know, the gift of music is many. I would say the biggest gift music has brought to the world, or through me, or through this process, is you can speak the language of the heart to one person, or 10 people, or 100 people, or 500 people, all at the same time. It's almost like the heart of one person becomes the heart of the room. And when it becomes the heart of the room, everyone's hearts and minds become one. What we will realize more and more, though, is that the heart of the room and the heart of the person is also the heart of the earth. You know? So I want to look at that word, the heart of the earth. Let me turn the camera around. The heart of the earth. Now, the heart is basically not just this symbol or this organ that you have in your body. The heart is the middle. It's the core, the middle of anything, of you, of life. So when you look at the middle, when you look at the heart of the word heart, like what do you see? What is at the heart? What is the heart of the heart? So let's draw a heart here. You have these 3 letters. The heart of the word heart is the ear. It's the part of the body that actually hears. And when you look at the heart of the word earth, what is at the middle of the word earth? Okay, so there's a relationship between the ear and, sorry, I'm really bad at art, the eye. There seems to be this very interesting process in which the human body converts sound into image. You know, it's like you're a movie. You have sounds and you have images coming together, and there's this relationship between the ear and the eye that starts to connect, that has been connected over a long period of history. This is one of the things that you're doing. You're helping to connect the heart and the earth, which is basically sound and image. Okay, so before anything, I'd like to speak about vibration. There are different states and types of vibration. I think I need to now move my camera to here. I will give you only 5, but there are actually 7 or 8. And just please stay with me, because this will help us speak about the nature of the music that we use in inner dance. 5 basic states would be delta, and I will explain what this means to you later. Theta. Just write these down in case you might have notes later that you'd like to put some questions to. Beta, and then gamma. Now, all this tells us is that as a person, you have different speeds. This is a very, very slow speed. When I put a number, I'm measuring cycles per second. Sorry. Yeah, that's right. So in your spiritual journey, or in your sleep, or in your when you're awake, you basically travel from the slowest vibration to the fastest vibration. Therein lies the question, like where is inner dance happening? Is it happening when things are slowing down? Is it happening when things are speeding up? Now, let's put some descriptions first to what these 5 are. Let's use very, very simple ones. The more commonly used word would be the beta consciousness, which is to be conscious. Gamma would be called super conscious. Just move it. And then this would, let's just put here, relaxed conscious. And for theta, let's call this subconscious. And for delta, let's call this unconscious. Now, writing these down, these descriptions, you might already understand that when you are in the process, there are moments when you are sleeping, when it seems like you go to a place where nothing is happening and it's all black and it's very, very deep. Sometimes it's in the space between seeing visions and seeing. I don't want to go too much into it. It's just useful to understand that there are vibrations within the larger vibration. Before we answer the question, where is inner dance happening here? And it would seem like it's here, but there are many ways to see that it's not just super consciousness that inner dance brings us into. It's maybe important to understand that normally when we are in our normal consciousness, then when our eyes are open and when we are standing up, we are in beta state. This is our normal consciousness. You wake up, you open your eyes, you drink your coffee, you go to your office, you go to work, you drive your car, you speak to your boss, you have to take care of your kids. The main function that takes place in conscious awareness is basically this. It's called problem solving. Now, you know that we live in a world now that has many, so much of this, and very often does not have so much of this. And you have to be a crazy person to not actually be here. If you if you go around the world trying to be that, or trying to be that, and then trying to be that, then you're going to be a big loser. You're going to be out in the street. You don't have any money, and it's a really interesting question. So we still want to understand, like, where does inner dance fit in? It is a little bit strange because inner dance makes you a crazy person, but the crazy person is also a very brilliant genius person. So I want to bring up this new board to look at what all of these mean. Here's what I discovered, and here's what facilitators around the world will discover. What I will be showing you basically is called the circadian rhythms. More specifically, I will share with you what are called the sleep stages, okay? Which is to help you understand that when you bring people into inner dance, you're shifting from like problem solving, overthinking, over analyzing. You are actually going to put people to sleep, and sleep happens here in delta state. Now, why do we sleep? It's very funny. It's very ironic. The reason why we sleep is actually to wake something up. And here is where we define the journey in sleep is actually about learning how to dream. Like we know how to dream, but most of the time when we dream, we're doing it when we are sleeping. What does it mean to actually learn how to dream awake? Now, let me draw to you the inner dance wave. And I will correct myself because there's a variant of the wave. This is what it will look like. And I want to share with you that when I started the inner dance process, when I use music, it always followed the same pattern. And I did not understand in the beginning what the pattern was until I looked deeper and deeper into science, and I realized that this was the pattern. Now the pattern looks like this. Okay, first I will draw this, and I will put the numbers. Let me use another color so it's easier to see. Number 1, number 2, number 3. Now, when I put number 4 here, I want you to understand that it is this entire range. And then the number 5 is here. Yes? Now, please don't forget that we went into the different states of consciousness that have different speeds, that have different descriptions. Yes? So when you look at this part, the same brain waves are here. Delta, theta, alpha, beta, gamma are still here, which helps you to see that this mapping speaks about the language of vibration that happens in the body. And I want to tell you that this does not just look at the sleep stages. The actual wave that happens to you when you are awake is actually similar. When you wake up, the energy starts maybe a little bit here, and then it goes up. And then there are certain times of the day where you get sleepy. Usually after the meal, you need to have the siesta. And then you go up again to have the fiesta, which is the party. You go into the trabajo here as well. It's very similar. And then you can relax again. At the end of the day, you get sleepy. Yes. Now, given this, I want to say that this is what happens to you every time you go to sleep. Now, this is not what the music looks like. Let me draw to you what the inner dance music looks like. It's when you notice the music that's used in inner dance and in the Kundalini activation process, the music starts very, very slow in the beginning. It starts very quiet, very meditative, and then it goes up. And then people who learn how to do this well, they will notice that it's very effective to actually make the music go down. And then the music can go wild. This is what we discovered, that the music is not just play. There's something random. Sorry, there's something constant that is working, that is not just playing. That the heart of the earth is actually a wave. Now, why do we go into this wave? I think the simplest way to explain that is there's a relationship between the father and the mother. This is not just the language of human beings. Any organism that has a heart, that has a brain, that has lungs. Okay, it's called brain, breath, and blood. Okay, now when you look at the brain, it's normally how electricity and magnetism passes through the body. There are certain times of the 24 hours where you should be awake. And then there are certain times in 24 hours when it's not good to be awake, that you need to go to sleep. You obviously don't want to go to sleep when the sun is up. That is the time when you need to gather food and you need to be afraid of the dinosaurs or the lion that might eat you. And then there's certain times of the day when you can close your eyes and you can rest. That's the time when you can trust. During the day, it's the time to be excited. And that's the time when you need to be scared. And when you look at these, your heartbeat, your brain waves, and your breathing have to change during those certain times. Yes. So when you do go into the rhythm, there's a rhythm in the dream. There's a rhythm of the 24 hours and through the week. And for those who live in Europe and not in the Philippines or in Thailand or Indonesia, you also have seasons, you know, where you have much more of this and much more of this. So you have these rhythms, and some people might call them the seasons. Something we're doing in inner dance is we are matching with the rhythm of the earth, of the sun and the moon, of life. And we are also starting to change the rhythm. Many things are responsible for the changing. Let me look for some paper. There's no more blank. There are many things that have been allowing for the changes of the rhythm. Food, the food that we're eating, the things that we're drinking. There are changes in our sleeping patterns. Like work, school, money. Just think of how we started to use electric lighting. What would have happened to our eyes when we are now having light during night? We didn't use our ear as much anymore. We started to become more visual creatures about 300 years ago. But for such a very, very long time, we actually relied on the heart and the ear a lot more than our eyes. So something inner dance is doing is that we are learning to go back to the ear and the heart. There's a reason why when you close your eyes and okay, understanding that most people are living in beta consciousness, which is when we should be afraid and be solving problems. There's a reason when we close our eyes and lay down, when you suddenly shift into delta state or deep sleep, something becomes balanced. And here's what I want to tell you. The only way you can actually experience gamma or super consciousness is to surrender. You have to open your body. You almost have to die. You have to surrender and relax your body to the fullest. And then energy starts to pass through you. So looking at this wave, what this means is that this is evolution. This is history. This is the programming, the conditions that have made you think the way you do, eat what you eat, talk the way you talk, wake up and go to sleep the way you have. Let me complete this. So on the first stage, this is called non-REM sleep 1. Your energy is somewhere between alpha and beta, or beta. And then on stage 2, it rises up to beta, meaning when you go to sleep, your energy actually needs to spike up in order to release all of the negative tensions that you have absorbed during the day. And then you go into a very, very deep part of the sleep stage where you get paralyzed and cannot move. That's when you become delta. You know, it's almost like you have to die in order for you to go into this is the dream state. This is the REM state. If you know what rapid eye movement means, when your eyes start to move, when you're sleeping, it means you're going into the dream. This is then the combination of all of the brain states. Now, your brain is activating super consciousness and the unconscious all at the same time. Delta to gamma. Okay, so what is important here for facilitators, people who want to learn how to hold this energy, this is something many facilitators forget, because people are excited. They want people to explode in the energy. They try to make the energy rise up so fast, but you actually need to drop very, very deep, because this is how the human mind, the human body has learned how to do it as soon as it had a heart and a brain. And I'm not just talking about one person. This is evolutionary. In fact, one way you can think about this is that before modernity, before the rise of the European modernism that had traveled across the world, what did our vibrations look like when we didn't have electricity, we didn't have money, we didn't have power dynamics? Based on the food and the things that we were drinking, we weren't centered so much here. We weren't thinking so much, and we were yet at the same time always channeling so much energy. So what that tells us is the early human was living more in the dream state. But now, to live in the world as a practical person, you can't. It doesn't make sense to dream. You know, you need to take that out. You have to you have to live here in beta consciousness. So something we're healing is our dominance in the overthinking brain. We're learning to balance out, so that we can access more of the instinctive or the intuitive or even the animal consciousness, which we're learning is also alien and like super advanced brain waves. If you want to access genius and creativity and like your superpowers, it actually hides here And this is something scientists have been finding out more and more. Science is beginning to understand this. And in the inner dance, you're beginning to experience it. And that's why we're bringing the science to you. So not only are you just experiencing what it means to dream again, it's also to understand it so that you can share it and apply it more and more and more. And then the last stage is actually when you go back to N2, which is theta waves now. Sorry, my mental pen isn't working so much. So I want to advise you on the useful fact that the sleep stages last for 90 minutes long. Now in Europe, it's very hard to use yoga or spiritual rooms too long because you need to pay rental and people are busy. So a lot of inner dances are usually only 60 minutes long. But an actual sleep stage lasts for 90 minutes. So if you can extend the journey to about 70 or 80 minutes, it goes nearer to the actual wave that we go through every night. This is what I'm telling you. Every night you go into inner dance, you just don't remember it. So 90 minutes is the cycle. And normally when you go to sleep, you go into 5 90-minute cycles. It could be 6 or 4, depending on you, depending on the person. But normally you go through several 90-minute sleep stages. So for that reason, an ideal journey is actually that long. It's 1 hour and a half. If you can find out how to do that, then that's good. Okay, one main insight I'd like to give to you that explains why, how, what this is. This is a condensation or a way of containing something very, very big into something very, very small. Now, in the inner dance journey, in the spiritual journey, people share, I went back to a past life, I went back to the universe, I went back to source. What is dream? What is dream? Dream is to see something very, very big in a one moment. Some people, they take psychedelics. Some people, they have the near-death experience. Some people, they have a spiritual awakening. All of those, I'm just gonna get another paper. All of those basically speak about the same thing. It speaks about, I mean, what is that even? do we actually know what that is if it's not just the thing that you have in the wall or the wristwatch? And what is that? You know, maybe we can draw the planet. It's like you travel through space, and this talks about history. This is about geography. So in the inner dance, you don't need a passport to travel space. It could be inner space or outer space. You suddenly journey through the earth or through the universe. And in the inner dance, you also journey through time. Now, this is a very, very simple explanation of what this wave is. When you facilitate the journey, your goal is to allow people to look at something very big, and that could be an entire life. You know, people go back to the childhood, or people even say they went back to the womb of the mother. They remember something very, very big. When you use music, when you use sound, and when the images come, what you're doing is you're creatively putting together a life journey. Certain music will trigger memories of past lives, or memories of like something that happened to them when they were teenagers or something. So you almost have to put together all of these elements to design how they will see something very, very big in like a one moment. And the science that I'm granting to you is basically that the human and other organisms actually learn to do it. Almost all animals know how to dream. They know how to go into this journey. So you don't have to learn it. It belongs inside you. You know how to do it because you have a relationship between the sun and the moon. So initially, all you actually have to bring together, if it's not music, is you need to learn the science and the spirituality of vibration, the science between the fast and the slow. Okay, because sometimes people will ask, what is the best music? What is the best music? Is it the fast, and is it the slow? It's not this, it's not that. It's both. It's this line. The inner dance happens actually in the in between. It's in these spaces when um, something is about to transition from one music to the other, from one vibration to the other. The inner dance is not just a one point. It's not just a theta wave or an alpha wave. It's actually the journey from the masculine and the feminine to the masculine. It's the very movement. It's the dance between one stage to the other stage. And we live in a world that doesn't like the movement. Every time you start to go crazy in this way, they give you medicine, they give you pharmaceutical drugs, they tell you to go to a psychiatrist or to go to a doctor to get stuck in a problem-solving world that where the problems don't go away actually, because when you say I have to solve a problem, it means the problem is there to begin with. So the art that you need to focus on would be the relationship between points. And music has many genres. You know, there's like rock music, there's meditation music, there's sad music, there's happy music. What we realize is all of those have many effects because those music were created over a long period of history. And when you travel across the world, when you know the difference between Chinese music, Indian music, a lot of them follow different time signatures and different styles. But the biggest transition now is the shift between analog music to digital music. The reason why inner dance is working right now is the digital music holds a lot more information. There's a lot more of time hiding inside the cell phone, the laptop, the tablet, the technology that you're using now. So in other words, in the past, analog music was taking place within three-dimensional time or three-dimensional reality. And as people have been using like their Facebook, their Instagram, Wikipedia, and YouTube, little do we understand, and very few people are talking about it. We're actually now moving into both the fourth and the fifth dimension of consciousness. We're not experiencing time in the same way anymore. What's happening is now there's more space in time. Okay, now everything is about vibration. And when your vibration is low, what happens is time outside you starts to take over you. So you don't own time. Time owns you. And a lot of people's trauma and a lot of people's fear is that there's not enough time. You know, time is like a sequence. It's like one day at a time, one word, one thought at a time. So in inner dance, what you're doing is you're moving from time to space, where suddenly all the points are scattered across like a universe of information. That's what happens in coming into beta consciousness. To be in beta consciousness, you need to live in time. And if you want to go into the dream state where no time exists, you need to actually borrow something from the very, very slow that allows for the channeling of super consciousness that is not linear. Super consciousness is happening in the new dimensions. And usually to enter that, you need to have a spiritual awakening. You need to go crazy. And a lot of crazy people were misdiagnosed by doctors. They didn't understand vibrationally what was happening, and they weren't given the support. And not only are you going to help people like that, some of you are the crazy people who are needing the support. So what we're giving you is a science of spirit, music, life, like dream science. It's actually quite a lot, and it's a very, very big journey to talk about this. So I think maybe this is a lot. It might be good for now to look at some questions